Hey, welcome to another Get Geekish podcast. Look at that. You're never going to see that again. Nope, there it is. Crap. Hey, it's Bino and Derek. Thanks for joining us once again for the Get Geekish podcast. And this week we are talking about once-in-a-lifetime experiences. Why? Because why not? There was the
you know how confusing that intro's got to be for people who don't watch the video that correspond with this. When you're like, "Hey, look at that," they're like, "What?"
If that's what throws them off after all these episodes, then more power to them. Just saying. This kind of got started because the whole Comet NEOWISE thing that came by. We actually took some fun photos of it. I drove up to the middle of nowhere a couple nights just to get some cool photos of the comet because, comets going by Earth in space. It's kind of cool looking. I'm a little bit of a space nerd like that. Space. They talk about comets as in once-in-a-lifetime experiences. The Comet NEOWISE, it'll be another 6,000 years before it swings by our end of the solar system again. So odds are, until I get put into a robot brain and live forever, it won't happen again in my lifetime.
But that's going to be the perfect time to attack the Fire Nation is when that comet comes back. So
Yes. But it made me think of some of the other past once-in-a-lifetime experiences because, I'm not that long in the tooth, and I've been through a lot of once-in-a-lifetime experiences. But comets specifically threw me off because as we were looking at some of these different experiences, I guess, comets are all once in a lifetime, but they seem to be a big one that comes by every decade or so. This one just came by.
I was going to say comets are once in a lifetime, but you'll see many of them if you can time it right.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing as like, I'm never going to drink this water again. Once in a lifetime experience.
You'll never step in the same river twice. Yeah. Once in a lifetime experience.
That might have been dinosaur pee 1.5 million years ago. But and don't get me wrong, I love space and comets, but there was the Comet NEOWISE that just came by. There's the other comet that's up visible at the same time with it. Then back in 95, there was the Halleys Comet, which I remember being much bigger than it was looking back at pictures. But if you weren't around for that one, the Halleys Comet came, and there was all kinds of these religious cultists that were drinking poisonous Kool-Aid because that was some spaceship sent to take them home.
That was definitely a one-in-a-lifetime experience for them.
Yeah. That's ouch. Then there was Halleys Comet, which was 85 or 86?
86.
And I was just a wee one when that one came around. But for some reason, like Halleys Comet was talked about all the time in the 80s and 90s, and I guess that would make sense because of the time frame. But I mean, there was a comic shop in Fort Collins called Halleys Comics. There was all kinds of pop culture references and movies of Halleys Comet and things like that. And then there was another big one in the 70s called the West Comet. So, every 10, 15 years, there's a big once-in-a-lifetime comet that comes by.
Well, and here's the thing, too. So going back, so you said NEOWISE, which for whatever reason, my brain, every time it saw that name, it would just go Neowsy. Don't know why. But so that one's every 6,000 years, right?
I thought it just knew Kung Fu.
God. And then we have Halleys Comet, which was every 75 to 76 years. So we might see that one again because it says 2061 is the next time it should come around.
If I eat right and exercise, I might see Halleys Comet next time around.
And then the Halleys Comet, that's coming around. When did you say that one was?
It was 97 we saw it. It actually broke apart in 95, and we didn't see it on Earth until 97. That makes more sense.
That's weird.
Yeah, space stuff's breaking up. It's probably aliens.
So it's gone forever then? If it broke up.
Let's see. Orbital change time results. Sodium trail.
Excuse us while we do some research.
It was the brightest one seen for decades, but it doesn't say if and when it's going to come back. Something tells me if it broke apart and changed course so we could see it, we don't exactly have it mapped out of exactly when it's coming back.
Yeah.
Although those scientists and their math and telescopes, they can do some pretty magical things. So
that's true. Well, speaking of telescopes, so I had a little cheap one and took a picture of the moon. I was like, this is so cool. I wish I had a better telescope. It makes me want to invest in one of those really nice ones so we can see stuff like this. Because imagine if you would have had a telescope for that comet. Because you took some good pictures, but
I was pretty proud. I only had a 200 millimeter lens, and I got ones that looked fairly decent on there. But you say that, and I honestly have spent probably 2 or 3 hours the past week looking at telephoto lenses to add to my camera collection just for that specific purpose. So when I tried to take a picture of the full moon a couple nights ago and got some blurry white mumbo jumbo that was in a tiny little picture, I'm like, stupid, I need a real telephoto lens to take pictures of the moon.
So you mentioned Comet West, which was visible in March 1976.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see that one again, it's estimated to orbit the sun once every 250,000 years. So you better eat right real good.
I'm banking on robot brain for that.
Will you even appreciate it then? I mean, because if you have a robot brain, one will say you're probably floating around space yourself.
Haha, silly organic matter. But moving on from comets and space stuff, what are some other once-in-a-lifetime experiences that we've gone through? I mean,
we've gone through. I mean, let's see.
Because we can say humankind, but that we haven't seen everything. I mean, like,
see, I was gonna go like Surge. Yeah, they tried to bring it back, but it's not the same. The Ecto Cooler, Mr. T's cereal.
We did live through the turn of a century, which
that's true.
People most likely are only going to see once in a lifetime.
God, remember when Y2K was the only thing we had to worry about?
I was trying to explain Y2K to a group of young folks the other day.
Young folks.
It was really awkward trying to explain. Well, the computers who made, they weren't sure they were going to know how to take dates that were 4 numbers instead of 2.
We had to turn our computers off at midnight.
What would have happened? Apparently, the entire economy was going to collapse and nothing was going to work, but everything turned out okay.
God,
we just got a Windows Service Pack and it seemed to fix everything.
Do you remember, like, that was a huge thing because, New Year rolled into 1999. Everybody's like, woo! And then for some reason, I remember, like, Y2K not being a real concern, at least mass-wise, until maybe, like, September or October.
Oh, yeah, it was, like, weeks before. I remember going to the grocery stores. I was in college at the time. I was a freshman. Yeah, I was a freshman in college when it happened. And going to the grocery store, and it was barren. It was like apocalypse. People were fighting over bottles of water. Shelves were empty at the store. And, people are fighting each other for a gallon of water. I'm there for some ice cream drumsticks, a pack of gum, and some drink mixers. But
if you're having a hard time visualizing it, just Google YouTube videos from just a few months ago when COVID happened. It'll be the same situation. People fighting for toilet paper and water. And
yeah, there's actually some fun ones. Some rerun show came on of a reality show. I think it was a Wife Swap or something like that was on TV at my folks' house when I was over there. Came on, but the people that were doing this Wife Swap was one, super educated, high-end businesswoman that was switching places with a lady and a dude who were planning for the apocalypse. They took their kids out of school and bought a farm in the middle of nowhere because Y2K was going to destroy the world. And so there's a good 10-minute part of the show of her explaining her beliefs of why Y2K is going to be the death of society and blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting there watching this 20 years ago. This didn't age well at all. I wonder what you're doing now.
Do you think that they're still out there?
Maybe. They're still in a hut, just assuming the rest of the world's been destroyed. No, we can't go over the wall, honey.
So it's kind of like what is that, M. Night Shyamalan's Village situation? Spoiler alert, but yeah, I remember, like, because you're right, like, maybe me even saying October is still too lenient. Like, they didn't make a big deal out of Y2K until probably around Thanksgiving.
Well, I think that, and
I
I think that's because of the scare tactics necessarily of the. Wasn't necessarily trying to scare people as much as people just put 2 and 2 together. Like, they've been talking about it for years. Like, this could be a problem, could be an issue. And then it finally came through and people like, no, really, guys, in a couple months, the computers might not work.
Well, I remember some people went off on the deep end too. And they're like, well, if the computers aren't going to work, that means the the nukes are going to launch and it's just going to be a nuclear winter. We're all going to die because all the nukes are going to launch because the computers are just going to go ahead and tweak out and launch everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of faith in humanity in general, but I have faith enough that the people that program nuclear launch codes put in a fail-safe that turning a switch off or unplugging something doesn't accidentally unleash nuclear winter.
I don't know. We've all seen movies. They seem to be pretty easy to set off.
Oh, boss, I spilled my coffee. The world's going to end. Oh, man.
Oh, man. So that's one thing we lived in that we're not going to, unless you get your robot brain, we're not going to see again. We're not going to see the year 3000.
Fingers crossed.
So, I mean, that's pretty crazy to think about.
We could be Beano 3000 and start my own rap group.
All right. Well, I mean, okay, another thing is this might be a once in a lifetime thing, is we lived in a non quote unquote digital age. And the only way that's going to happen again is, if it goes all Mad Max style and technology fails us. But
that is true. We were some of the last generations that grew up where technology didn't. I mean, technically, the internet's existed since the late 60s, but
something like that.
The average person did not have any access to it until the early 90s. And even then it was IRC chat and message boards for the most part. It wasn't the vast scape of knowledge that we have now.
And we didn't have these little cell phone things going on. And, it was a better time,
I don't like to say better. Do you remember sitting in front of your computer for 17 minutes trying to download a picture? Hey, I was 12.
I remember going over to, trying to call my friend because we didn't have internet, but they did, and getting that awful sound going on. So,
and parents just didn't understand. Mom, hang up the phone.
I gotta call Grandma. You be quiet. Get off your little computer thingy.
I'm trying to talk to a girl in New York City.
Little did you know.
Oh, I had a hunch.
All right. Well, what else we got? I mean, so we've got some comments. We got the turn of the century, like you said. We got
something as simple as world events like the tearing down the Berlin Wall.
Mm-hmm.
Never going to see that again. Maybe we'll see another wall built and torn down again, but we're not going to see the Berlin Wall torn down again.
True.
I mean, I can't see into the future, but that was a pretty big deal.
If you could.
And there was a good 10 years of pop culture references of tear down this wall.
I was gonna say, it's funny because, well, I mean, there's so many pop cultural references that we had from our youth that just don't make sense to a lot of people nowadays, like read my lips, or I did not have sexual relations with that woman, just those different things. And now you're like, I'm old.
Yeah. There was a, with the line of work in a house, we have run-ins with younger people, kids a lot. And somebody referred to Bill Clinton, so maybe a Bill Clinton joke about that. And the response from this kid was, "Oh, that Hillary Clinton's husband?"
Yes, he was president.
Huh, you watch a lot of TV, don't you?
Oh man.
And yeah, you can't fault people when they weren't alive for things they don't know, but it makes, I don't know about you, but it makes me feel really, really aged. You make a reference to something and people just look at you like you're crazy. Even Bill and Ted references. We got Bill and Ted Face Music 3, once in a lifetime event coming out. But when you make a Bill and Ted reference and a whole room full of people stare at you like you just barfed Cheerios or something like that, it makes me feel bad. That they used to be in every the entire world used to know about that stuff.
How about this? This isn't during our lifetime, but December 1972 was the last time that we've been to the moon.
That is true.
So, I mean, we're going right back to space, but but I mean, hey, we did see a rover land on Mars.
That is true. A little rover that could.
He's still up there.
I still get teary-eyed when you read about when it finally shut down.
Well, so I think there's another one up there, and if not, it might be the same one. But there was a story of like when it hit its birthday, and it would sing "Happy Birthday" to itself all by itself. You're like, is that a robot?
All by myself.
Oh man, but yeah, that's I don't know if we'll ever see a manned moon mission again.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, I'm still holding out for space, but isn't China sending a whole pod of astronauts to Mars? SpaceX is trying colonizing Mars, the moon. I mean,
Yeah, but aren't we supposed to be to weren't we supposed to be to Mars by 2025? So we got 5 years to do that.
Well, it takes that long to get there.
I know, that's what I'm saying, and they haven't got off the ground yet. So, oh man,
I have high hope. Like it's years of growing up with sci-fi movies and television that have my expectations set really, really high for things that should happen in our lifetime. And I get torn back and forth because you look at in the 1980s and what we thought 2020 was going to be like. We thought we'd be living like the Jetsons with robot servants and flying cars and all this kind of stuff going around. Which,
well, even look at the 90s with movies then, like Demolition Man, which was set in 2003. I don't remember when.
I think it was like I think it was 2025 or 2030 or something like that. Let's find out. Yeah. If only there was something in front of me that had the entirety of humankind's knowledge inside it.
Take place. And that would be 2032. So
yeah. We're 12 years off.
Yeah. No, maybe it was Blade Runner that was like came out, and that was, yeah, I think that's when
Transformers the movie, the original, that was 2005. It was supposed to take place in. Optimus Prime should be here protecting us.
I was going to say,
what do we have? We have Roombas.
Hey, but Blade Runner took place in 2019. So, let's see. What about this one from 1795, where a cavalry, which is people on horses, captured a whole bunch of warships which float in the water. How is
that what ships do?
Yeah, I'm trying to spell it out. Okay, you got people on horses capturing boats that are floating in the water. How did they do that? Well, the water got so cold during the French Revolutionary War that it froze, and that allowed the people on horseback to go out there and capture it, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
The one thing that's odd about these once-in-a-lifetime experiences, too, is I feel somebody with like a Mythbusters vibe would find something like this and find a way to figure out how to make it happen again, which takes some of the mysticism out of it. Like find some chemical that hardens water enough that they could shoot it in front of some horses and go capture a boat just so they could say they did. Yeah. What I'm saying is I really want to do this. I need somebody really smart to help.
Oh man,
it's like the Guinness World Records when people go through there and just try and find something that they could outdo or beat. Because let's be honest, a lot of Guinness records are just because somebody took the time to do it. They weren't all necessarily amazing feats. It was just, all right, I am the person that held my cup in the air longer than anyone else in history because I recorded it.
Oh man, we could have done that.
I don't know. Back in the radio days, we had to judge that hands-on Hyundai thing, or people to hold their hands on a car for however long. Yeah. Those people were not doing well after less than a day.
So you're saying, the whole Mythbusters thing. What about the flood of beer?
Do tell.
Well, apparently in October 17th of 1814, there was, holy crap. There was a tank that was a 22-foot fermentation tank. It was in the process of brewing a brown porter ale when one of the iron rings holding the structure together snapped. An hour later, the entire tank burst, releasing more than 1.2 million liters. That's 320,000 gallons of beer. And this was in London. So in all, 8 people died in the event, while another were perishing later from alcohol poisoning. So, those guys were sitting in the pub. They see this whole giant flood of beer coming down the road. They're like, how much can you drink?
I feel like the ones in the pub seeing that wall coming are probably like, you know what? This is the way to go.
Right.
I was born for this moment.
Wow. So you can go to actually a pub near there that brews a special anniversary ale to remember the one and only London beer flood.
Seems like an odd marketing ploy.
Right? Hey, remember that flood that killed 8 people and then 9 more after because they drank too much? Here's a beer for it.
And I see a lot of things. So I was looking at a lot of blogs that were talking about things that happen once in a lifetime. And I feel like big picture things are more my style. The big things of like 2 bullets colliding in midair, or, somebody getting a mosquito with a dart tip or something like that. That are just dumb luck of, it's a 1 in a million chance. So is winning the Powerball. People win the Powerball every couple weeks, a couple months.
Focus, Danielson.
So things that are just sheer luck of happening aren't near as amazing as things that you only see once and never see again.
Well, what was in the 80s or 90s, it seemed like every sportscaster dude would say like, oh, that's a once in a lifetime shot there. When you're like, I saw that 2 weeks ago.
I feel like golf announcers take that to a whole new level. Every shot, I will never see another one like that again. Really? Because there's not a bunch of rich old dudes hitting balls on the course every day.
They're probably right that you won't see another one like that again because you'll be asleep the next time it happens.
Yeah.
If you're watching golf.
That's right. I'll have to care. Not anybody likes golf. Golf can be fun, but it's just not a hobby I'm into watching. Much like bowling. I love bowling. Watching bowling on TV is not fun for me.
I was going to say, if you enjoy golf, don't play it with us.
Hey, we make golf fun. We just
try.
Might get kicked off the course, but we make golf fun.
Yep.
You don't play with us if you want to win. If your goal is to get the lowest score. We play house rules. It's kind of like slop in pool, but
oh man. Jeez. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things that you could say about one's life of like, oh, that's a once in a lifetime event. But like you said, it's unlike the mass scale of things with like comets and things that people can, enjoy as a whole. Because I mean, there is a lot of things that can happen in your life that is a once in a lifetime event. Something never going to happen again. But
I think a lot of people put disasters in that sense too, but I don't like putting those in the category because disasters keep happening. I mean, it's once in a lifetime being a hurricane. Well, unless you live in Florida, then it's a yearly thing. Once in a lifetime you'll be in a tornado. Ask people in Western Oklahoma.
Oh, Godzilla's a once in a lifetime thing. Is he though?
Hey, Godzilla.
I caught you there. I like how you thought about that for a minute. You're like, huh.
Throwing me off here. But what's a once in a lifetime experience that you have lived through? Or I think you're amazed by, because I want to hear what your thoughts are, two of you. I'm speaking to the listener now, not to
I know.
Not to blow you off there.
For a minute there, I was like, me?
Answer me in third person, if you will. But hit us up at Geekish on the social media or the comments on this podcast, and throw out some other once in a lifetime events or experiences that should be on there. Our list. Maybe
the 80s Transformers is the last Transformers movie that'll be good in our lifetime. I mean, Bumblebee wasn't bad, but
it was all right, but it wasn't life changing like the first one was. Hey, my morals and my lessons from history come from Transformers and The Simpsons, mostly.
Explains a lot.
It does. And not that they were always 100% accurate, but most historical references that I get nowadays is thanks to Matt Groening and his friends. Mm-hmm. Like all the history books in school, vaguely, oh yeah, we talked about a war or something like that. But when Troy McClure told me about it, I listened.
You may know me from such films as, oh man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, because technically, if you want to go on the existential side of thing, everything's a once in a lifetime experience, right? Live in the moment. Right now, we're never going to get this again. You and me sitting 5,000 miles apart talking to each other on a microphone, wearing these particular shirts when it's this particular temperature.
I was gonna say, I mean, we'll talk again next.
I had to throw some variables in there to make it once in a lifetime. Dang it!
We'll talk again next week, but we ain't no close. We ain't 5,000 miles. What?
Texas is rubbing off on you already.
Come on, y'all. All right.
Let us know. Thanks so much for listening, tuning in,
sitting through
pushing play, putting up with us. And thanks to AIM Student Radio for having us on the airwaves, as always. Fun to be a part of that. But hit us up at Get Geekish on social media. I'm Bino and Derek saying, I'm not Bino and Derek. I'm Bino. He's Derek.
They got you. Yeah, they got you. They understand you.
And we'll talk to you next week.